Hello, this is Caitlin Rule, and this is Everyday Counts case study for AEP 858. So first, to talk about what's happening in this situation, we are at a high school where they were known for a very high attendance rate. But then here recently, about 85% of the student population has missed 10 or more days from the school each year. And digging deeper, we found out that school personnel is actually allowing this to happen and not really having any consequences for these absences. When and where? This is after spring break at Golden Oak High School. Who is involved? Well, we have the principal, Mr. Rhodes, the superintendent, Dr. Newman, the athletic director, 2 veteran teachers, the counselor, some homeroom teachers, and then 5 key students: Karen, Tyrone, Christina, Carl, and John. What do these parties involved have to say? Well, we have the classroom teachers who have set up meetings with parents trying to deal with these absences. But then we have a few parents who don't see the harm in missing school. And then we have some veteran teachers, athletic director, and counselor who have overlooked this policy and not really set any consequences for these absences. So any legal or ethical issues. I put on here the legal issue of the parens pares, which is the common law that where states can require parents to send their children to school. So we can use this law to kind of inform parents that we do have a right to have an attendance policy. And then we have our ethical issues. I have that teachers and staff are passing along students who have these absences with no consequences, and it's really not fair to the other students who have been there every single day. Down below I have no one has been harmed in this situation. There really hasn't been a breach of contract or any harassment or discriminatory actions. To synthesize what has happened in one sentence, I have the new principal of the school is faced with the issue of chronic student absences and must make a systems change to address the problem. So here are some facts about the situation. The people who are involved in this school community, there are mostly middle-income families with some poverty and some high income. Some of the parents work in a metropolitan area with a 1 or 2 hour commute, which could be hard to keep track of when their students are getting to school and if they are making it to school. We have some Caucasian, and here recently we have Hispanic and Asian families moving into the area. We have a low turnover rate among teaching staff. So year to year, only 1 or 2 new teachers are flowing into the district, into the school. For the place, we are at the Golden Oak High School. It is a suburban community adjacent to a large metropolitan area, and there are about 965 students at this school. The school is a public high school. It holds grades 9 to 12. There are many extracurricular activities, including 11 different team sports and 31 different clubs at this school. So to review and prioritize the information. Could this situation be damaging to stakeholders? I have yes, because the consequences of chronic absences can be really damaging to the students for their future and to help them even graduate high school or post-secondary jobs situations. What individuals and groups have important stake in the outcome? Students. So the students' future is really at stake with these absences. Have all relevant stakeholders been consulted? I have not all the parents have been talked to about this situation. Can I learn more about this situation? Yes, I believe that we can always learn more. We could always dig deeper and find more information. Do I know enough to make a decision? I believe I can. So to identify some options. Option 1, I could do nothing and just take no action. Just continue with school the way it's happening now and just kind of hope it gets better. But some consequences that could happen could be continuous absences and then maybe more to come with no consequences for these absences and knowing maybe it could possibly just get worse. Option 2 would be I could create a mentor program. So this mentor program could involve teachers and staff and counselors And then each student has a mentor that they can meet with, talk with, kind of help with guidance when it comes to school and what's going on. We could also create student accountability for missed work that should be completed in a set amount of days, so they know if they do miss a day, they have a certain amount of days to make up that work. Then I could also have professional development on attendance and student engagement with reminders from secretaries on absentees. So what I mean by that is we could have professional development on teaching about how to be a mentor for these students, and also student engagement, because when students want to come to school, then you don't have to worry so much about the absences. So helping teachers really reach those students in a way that makes them want to come to school. And then I have reminders from secretaries on absentees. So when a student is absent, the secretary can send an email to that teacher or to those teachers saying, just a reminder, the student was absent, and then kind of have the requirements for what the consequences are for being absent, and making sure that teachers have that work set aside so that when that student arrives, they have that work to make up for when they get back. Some consequences are we could possibly have some teacher pushback, maybe them thinking it's too much work to have students make up that work. We could also have some parent and student pushback. Maybe they don't agree with how we're handling the situation. Then option 3 could be kind of harsh, but you could create a policy where there's expulsion after 5 absences. So you could try to scare the students into coming to school knowing, oh no, if I miss 5 days, I'm going to get expelled. But a big consequence with that would be students would stop coming altogether. So it could end up causing more absences, and then the expulsion would just have students excited not to come to school even more. So could have some big consequences there. So to evaluate my options, some pros and cons, I kind of talked about some cons on the last slide, but for option 1, some pros would be that the staff doesn't have to make any changes. They can just keep doing what they've been doing. But cons are that absences will just probably keep getting worse, and students maybe will just not care anymore. Option 2, some pros could be more student accountability for their own actions. They would be able to see the consequences of what happens when they don't show up to school, and they will be able to have a mentor and someone to reach to talk with about maybe what's going on at home, what's going on in their life, to kind of help guide them to what the right decision would be. Some cons were maybe the teachers might push back on the extra work, having to grade papers a little bit later, things like that. Option 3, some pros might be you could possibly frighten the students into showing up, letting them know they don't really have a choice, otherwise they're going to have big consequences. But some cons would be this could really cause more absences and maybe really cause more students not to care about school. So to choose the best option, in my opinion, I chose option 2, the mentor program, student accountability, engagement, professional development. How can my decision be implemented with the greatest care and attention to the concern of all stakeholders? Well, I would begin with PD, talking to staff about the changes that need to happen before actually adding the requirements. So talking with the teachers, kind of getting them on board before just telling them that they have to do something like this. Have all stakeholders been consulted? I could discuss this idea with my superintendent. Have I identified creative options? I believe I have. So my path, how would I implement this decision? Well, first I would gather my building leadership team together to create buy-in to the idea of mentoring. With the leadership team on board, I can then have them help me to generate a staff meeting to inform all the information about the mentors, about the absence rules, and about makeup work requirements for those students who are missing. So when I have my leadership team there, they can also kind of show that they're on my side, and I can also get some teacher feedback on how we can make this work. Then I could hold a professional development on student engagement and how to get them to want to come to school, along with the mentor training on that professional development day. So kind of a mix of both, just kind of teaching the teachers and the staff what a mentor should look like, how we can handle this mentor training, how we should discuss things with our students. And then also student engagement to help the students want to come to school and want to be engaged and not want to have any absences at school. And then 4, I could create the mentoring schedule. So have a schedule for teachers and staff to meet with our mentors, and the students could also have that schedule so that they know, oh, today is the day that I meet with my mentor. Then I could begin the program, have the teachers and the students meet. They could have a few questions, kind of get to know each other. I could also provide that information just to break the ice with them to help them create that relationship. Then we could also begin daily emails from the secretaries regarding absent students and reminders of makeup work requirements, just to keep that in the teacher's ear to kind of remind them of, oh, yep, I gotta set aside that homework for that student, and they have 3 days to make it up, or 4 days, whatever our requirements that me and the teachers have decided is appropriate. What may happen? Students and teachers might not meet, or the meetings might be overlooked. They might think, oh, I don't need to show up today, it's just for 5 minutes, or they might not take it as serious. So teachers also may let the makeup work slide, saying, oh, it's fine, just forget about it. So that could happen. So really setting those requirements and having those reminders would be really important on my part. Who needs to know? I could let the superintendent know, just to kind of get them on board on what I'm planning on doing at my school. I also need to let all staff know, because teachers don't need to only be the mentors. I could also have counselors and different people who are involved in the school, the athletic director, people like that. They could also be involved. I also think parents and students do need to be involved on the requirements of these absences, because they need to know what the consequences would be when they do miss. So plan B, if all of this doesn't work, I'm hoping to then maybe have all my counselors meet with the chronic students and see what's going on at home, see if there's any way we can help, and maybe those counselors meeting one-on-one can also let them know the requirements and the consequences that come with the absences, and hopefully we can start to grow a more positive environment where students want to come to school. Thank you.